Welcome to today's program, The Beauty of Grace, and I'm Pastor Pete Norris, Harvest Fellowship Church, Goldsboro, North Carolina. It's such a privilege and honor to be with you today, to be able to share a message of hope and to be able to encourage you to walk the road of victory and rise above circumstances and situations. As we've grown in the ministry over the last several years, we get lots and lots and lots of letters and emails and so many people dealing with shame and guilt and condemnation that leads us to a place of depression, and it leads us to a place of not being able to cope with situations. So what we want to talk about this week is learning how to let go of your past. It's a time to allow your emotional wounds to heal. Let go of your excuses. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. It's time to get rid of that victim mentality. Now, how do I do that? How do I let go of my past? We live in a society that loves to make excuses. One of the favorite sayings or phrases that people say is, "Well, it's not my fault." But the truth is, if we're bitter and resentful, it's because we're allowing ourselves to remain that way. We've all had negative things that's happened to us. Negative things are going to happen to all of us. But I love what Matthew 11:28 says. It says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest." Look at Lamentations 3:22 and 23. I love this in the New King James. "Through the Lord's mercies we are not consumed, because his compassion fail not. They are new every morning. Great is his faithfulness." If we allow ourselves to say the same, if you look hard enough, anyone can make excuses and blame the past for their bad attitude, for their poor choices, for the hot head or the temper or whatever it may be. If we look hard enough, we can find a reason to be mad. We can find the reason to be upset. We can find a reason to, I'm not tall enough. I've always been overweight, or whatever the excuse is for not achieving what God called you to do. But you may, and truly, you may have a valid reason for saying all those things. You may have gone through things that nobody deserves to experience in life. Maybe it was physical abuse or verbal abuse or sexual abuse or even emotional abuse. But all these things, if we're not careful, they manipulate us and keep us bound up and not having the freedom to enjoy who we are. Maybe you've struggled with chronic illness or unrepairable physical problem, or maybe you were born with this or that or them or whatever. But maybe your dreams didn't work out. I don't mean to minimize those difficult situations or experiences, but if you want to live in victory, you can't let your past pulls on your future. You've got to be willing to say, you know what, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to experience the good things that God has for me. I'm going to experience those great things in my life. It's time to allow emotional wounds to heal, to let go of your excuses, to stop feeling sorry for yourself. It's time to get rid of that victim mentality. So many people live in a victim mentality, but the Bible says that you and I are more than conquerors. We're victorious. So as you go through situations in life, you go through circumstances in life, a lot of people go through stuff in life. Nobody, not even God, ever promised that life would be fair. So it doesn't always going to be fair. Life's not always going to be fair to everybody. You're going to go through situations. You're going to go through circumstances. Quit comparing your life to somebody else's and quit dwelling on what could have or should have been. Quit asking questions such as, why this or why that or why me? Let go of your hurts and your pains. Forgive the people who did you wrong. Forgive yourself for mistakes you've made. Today can be the beginning of a new season in your life, a new time in your life. But that's never going to happen as long as you keep that victim mentality and make excuses for why you are like you are. I've been in ministry 40 years. I hear people say this all the time. Well, it's just who I am. That's, I got that from my mama. I got that from my daddy. But you and I are new creations. Old things have passed away, and behold, everything has become new. So you and I have the opportunity to become new. You and I have an opportunity to be better each and every day if we allow ourselves, say, you know what, I'm giving this to the Lord. I'm just going to walk in who I am. I'm going to trust Him that every day is going to be a great day, and I'm going to stop making excuses for why I am. Now, you may have a valid right to say, hey, look, I've been through situations I didn't deserve that. You may not have, but you've gone through it, and you've got to rise above it. You can't stay in that place of defeat, that place of discouragement, that place of disappointment all the time, because God's grace is sufficient for you, and that's the beauty of grace.